First time you saw a TV, do you remember?
I do.
Yeah, the village baker had one just after the war. I was very unimpressed with it, about that big thing. But my father saw them in a pub just up the road before the war. So we had first in the world to have television. And apparently this pub used to turn out all the lights. It had a 6-inch screen. And the locals would sit there with their mouths open looking at it. And there was just a sort of fuzzy image in those days, but it was television in the south of England, because it wasn't anywhere else. It was only within range, I suppose, of where would it be? Alexandra Palace? Wouldn't be no Ali Pali in those days, would it? I don't know, Crystal Palace, I think.
Was it Crystal? No, didn't they have a... There was another office that they had in London. I can't remember what the name of it was. It wasn't Broadcasting House, it was another one. But it wasn't far from where Broadcasting House became or was built.
It was when the war came, it was all closed down.
So what did your father say about seeing a TV for the first time before the war? This was
nothing. He was most unimpressed.
What did he actually see?
That his local pub.
How did he describe it? What sights did he?
He didn't describe it. He just didn't like it much. He was disinterested in it. Couldn't see the point of it. And of course, all the lights being out in the saloon bar or wherever it was not what he'd gone there for. He would go there with a neighbour who
was it
doors away, and they used to go there sometimes together.
I'm waiting for him to ask you the same questions my sister asked my gran. She was only about 9 or 10 at the time. She said, "Gran, when you were a child, did you have a telephone like the Flintstones had?"
That's fun.
Lovely. Oh, that's so sweet.
So your dad doesn't remember the show or what he saw on the TV, what they played? It wasn't The King or something like that? No.
Watch it.
Oh, okay.
And I can't remember.
So what year was that? About?
Well, I don't know. I don't know when television first was.
It was before the war.
He didn't give a date. He didn't give a date.
Before the war.
Oh yeah, it was certainly before the war. It was when no other country had television, even America.
Yeah. And what about you?
It was a technological
achievement,
I suppose.
Yeah.
To be able
what about you? Do you remember?
Yeah, I remember seeing it. He was a bit of a show-off, this village baker. He had a son about the same age as me.
After the war?
This was after the war, yeah. And I suppose it was about 1946 or something like that. But it was quite a long time after that we got television. I suppose we had a massive great screen. It was about 12 inch. And it was a console, a big walnut thing. And then ITV came along. We had a box on the top, a conversion thing to get another channel. And it had an incredible switch in it. You had to really pull on it. It moved a whole lot of circuits, because it had valves in those days, in this little metal box.
What year was this?
What, when that happened?
Yeah.
I would have been in the 50s.
Oh, I thought you'd saw one just after the war.
Yes, that was the first television BBC that I saw. And it was Sylvia Peters, if you like, was on there, because I remember her. She was a pretty little thing. And was Mary something. Do you remember Mary?
Yeah.
She was a middle-aged woman and frightfully Ali-pali BBC. And Sylvia Peters was sort of much younger.
So you had the radio
So
when you were a child?
Radio? Of course I did.
What shows did they play on the radio?
On the radio?
I was trying to read this.
Monday night at 7, which became Monday night at 8. They had children's hour, which I was more familiar with than anything else, because I had to go to bed at a certain time, and woe betide me if I got out of bed. So really, I used to play with the radio during the day, right from a very, very early age. I mean, it was all there. We European programs, music, of course. as well.
Before the war.
Oh yes, way back before. Molly. I mean, the superhet radio was quite advanced at that time. You could, you got good, clear reception, and it worked. In fact, in many ways, it's much better than transistors for music, anyway.
He
certainly
wouldn't know what a superhead radio was.
Had about, I don't know, about 16 valves or something. The heat used to come out of that thing. But
And God help you if you forgot and took the back off and didn't leave it to discharge properly, because it had those huge capacitors in it that used to store the charge up, and you go in there, because when I first started in electronics, first thing I worked on was valves. I mean, there were transistors around, but I tried the valve systems first because they gave me more of an understanding of how the transistors work.
Oh yes, I wanted to ask you.
They got one hell of a shock.
Yes, I know. It can be very dangerous indeed.
Yeah.
I got it from that box I was telling you about with the switches. I went inside that because there was something wrong, and I was looking for a sensitivity thing on one of the valves. I'd been told about that, and I didn't know. It was all unplugged. I was scared of electricity, and I touched the capacitor, and it threw me backwards. And
Yeah.